I know I'm already dreading this one. Help. 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 I don't know if I can do it. Jesus Christ. Lutnick was on after the Saturday meeting, before the Monday announcement, Lutnick's on Fox News saying, we're very, very focused on America's golden age coming.
Michigan gave us Motang.
All right. This, I no idea whether there'll be details or not. I still can't do the math. We tried to do it earlier this morning.
Joining us now, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Welcome to Fox News Sunday.
Welcome and happy Mother's Day to everybody watching, and a special happy Mother's Day to my my beautiful wife.
Yes, appropriate way to start.
Isn't his mother alive? Isn't she like 97 or some shit? Right? Didn't he say my mother won't miss her? Holy shit, did she miss a Social Security check and she's no longer with us because without it, she didn't complain and therefore she starved to death? What the fuck?
Now let's dig into the business of the day, which is the talks in Switzerland with us and China. You have said, listen, this is going to take potentially dozens of talks. What can you tell us about managing expectations on a timeline when something could come together?
Well, Secretary Bessent has made it clear one of his objectives is to de-escalate. You know, 145% and 125% are really, those are kind of tariffs where you're not trading with each other. So he's there
Kinda?
to see if we can reset the conversation, and he's
That was his mother-in-law? Oh, so he doesn't give a shit about his wife's mother then? But I'm sorry, you don't wish happy Mother's Day to your mother-in-law?
at it right now, so I'm going to leave it to him of how he deals with it. But that's the objective, to de-escalate.
I don't know that that's true. I thought the objective, the escalation was caused by Trump specifically, right? So why does he have to meet with the Chinese to de-escalate? Why don't you talk to fucking Trump?
Well, the Wall Street Journal has said, too, that in our talks with other countries, and I know you're involved in many of getting these deals, trying to get them together, that
Trying to get them together. Nice save.
part of it has been about pressuring these other countries when it comes to China. Here's what the Wall Street Journal reported. The idea is to extract commitments.
What would you know about pressure? Well, I have kissed a man.
From U.S. trading partners to isolate China's economy in exchange for reductions in trade and tariff barriers imposed by the White House. The idea being not to let China flood these other countries with their products or to relocate things to these areas where they would avoid U.S. tariffs. Are those part of your...
Which they are doing. One of the reasons why they didn't see a massive drop in exports is because they exported through Vietnam, through Cambodia, through other countries as proxies to get into the United States because we're still open with those guys.
Those themes.
No. You know, that's fake news. I mean, we are focused on...
Yeah, again, Wall Street Journal, fucking fake news.
Americans, right? The President Trump...
Hey, I don't know what to tell you. I've been saying that about Rupert Murdoch's papers since at least the late 90s, so...
Trump's idea is to bring the golden age back to America, to reshore manufacturing, to build here, to have those people who build here not pay any tariffs. And if you want to build overseas, okay, you'll pay tariffs and you'll be less competitive in America, so build here.
Well, you won't be less competitive because if your tariff ultimately ends up lower, and it will be, than what you would pay in terms of taxes in the United States, and the sales tax definitely gets passed on to people, why wouldn't you just stay overseas? Why wouldn't you continue to build in another country? It just raises the price of everything 10%, and fuck it. If everything's up 10%, nothing's up 10%. That's the problem with ubiquitous trade barriers. Because if it's all going up, who gives a shit where you build it? And if taxes in the United States and building and fees and all that kind of stuff amount to what's, costing you 12 to 25% over the process you're building it until such time as you're actually producing things, and then Trump's not going to be fucking president then. So why bother? And then, why not raise your prices 12%? If your shit's better than what's being made in the United States, you'll make even more money on it anyways. You can afford to raise it 12, give everybody a coupon. They think they're getting a deal.
I mean, that's the idea. Open your markets if you want to continue to, to not bring things home to America. Open your markets, let our exporters sell to you, finally get some fair trade, and let's bring lots of manufacturing back to America. But we are not, under any circumstances, focused on China when we're talking to other countries. When we're talking to China...
Why are you even talking to those other countries comparatively? It's a statistical blip compared to China. China's something like 80% of our trade deficit. Why the fuck do we care about any of the rest?
Of course, our trade team is focused on China. But when we talk to other countries, there was no conversation in the UK or India or Japan or any of these other countries about China. Leave China alone.
Nonsense. That's not the point, by the way. The point she was making is that while you're discussing it with these other countries, if they're buying stuff from China or they start buying more stuff, if you don't have some sort of like, hey, don't start buying a bunch of shit from China while we're in this fight with them and, basically giving them buoyancy that we don't have during this fight if you're on our side. That's the pressure she was talking about. He has no, I don't even know that he's aware of what she's saying.
We are trying to grow America.
Okay, so you mentioned the UK deal, a big feather in the cap of the administration. You were right.
Oh, yeah, totally. Now we could buy crumpets, yes, and they can buy our crumpets. We'll have a crumpet trade war, yeah?
Right there with the president as he's making this announcement. And it begs the question now about that 10% tariff. Is that going to be the baseline? Here's what the president said Friday.
But basically, you have a baseline of a minimum of 10%, and some of them will be much higher, 40%, 50%, 60%, as they've been doing to us over the years.
So those numbers may sound really good to China if you're talking about 145 or 80%, but how are those numbers landing with the other folks you're negotiating with?
So you saw on Liberation Day, the president
put
out a whole series of tariff rates. And then the objective is to bring manufacturing back to America.
Yeah, immediately. Holy shit. Oh yeah, I should have thrown that up there as well. Apologies. Hold on. Is that working? Why is that? Hold on, I have to check something. It's going to bother me while this nut warning business is up. Is this open? Is that why? That's why it doesn't want to do it. I think this is all right. Hold on. I'm just worried that... Here I am like an idiot. There you go. Yeah, there you go. So, I gotta make the none thing go away. Go and scene. There you go.
And also lower those rates. So those countries, each of those countries can open their markets, make a more fair trading deal with America, allow Americans to export to their country. Finally, in a way, you saw in the UK, we opened their market, $5 billion of exports.
Wow, $5 billion. Be still my beating heart. We cadavered the fucking economy for $5 billion.
Many of these countries will be, because they have bigger economies, even bigger. And our idea is have the Americans be able to export to those countries, grow America, right? Ranchers, produce, vegetables, machinery, ethanol, things like that. Sell to those countries.
That's the UK thing, is some like rise in ethanol overall because Iowa.
Lower their tariff rate and then bring manufacturing back to America. So I think we're very, very focused on America's golden age coming. We're going to make trade more fair, and it's going to work brilliantly.
Yeah, it totally is. He totally looks convinced, doesn't he?
For Americans, both. If you make it here, there's no tariff, and we can sell much, much more fairly everywhere in the world.
So Americans are watching and hoping for those long-term benefits, but our polling shows they're pretty skeptical at this point. 72% tell us they think tariffs are going to make the things they pay for right now more expensive. And a majority of them think that tariffs are actually hurting our economy. I mean, how do you work against that perception with messaging while people wait in the interim for something to happen?
You just
Fuck them is the answer.
do trade deals, right? Like, look at the UK deal, right? Just look at that deal.
Yeah, it has almost no impact on anyone. Explain to me how the flyover states benefit from a deal with England. For real. What, a little more cattle sales? Is that what it is? The price of beef was dropping too much for steaks?
opens the UK market for the first time to $5 billion of exports. I mean, go talk to a beef rancher right now or a corn farmer right now. They are ecstatic. They've never been allowed into the UK market, and now they'll be allowed. So each of these countries, we're going to break open their...
Yeah, again, if they're open to buying $5 billion, but the market doesn't carry it, they don't have the money for it, or they don't have the interest or the purchasing power or the desire, then what fucking difference does it make? It can be open as much as it wants. If nothing is asked through the door, then what's the fucking point?
On-tariff trading barriers, get our people the ability to export there. That's going to be great. We're going to have huge jobs in manufacturing. You've heard the president talk about trillions and trillions of factories being built in America.
No, no, I haven't. I missed that one. Did anybody see the because I know Trump says a lot of stupid shit, but did anybody see the big announcement of trillions and trillions of factories? Yes, they're all very small. They're like this big. They just sit on the edge and they build things just on tickety. And they have elves working in them making cookies.
Those are construction jobs starting now. And
yes, trillion construction jobs to build those trillions of factories.
And those products will not have tariffs on them. So I just completely...
They'll be too small.
Disagree. What you're going to see is prices are going to stay stable once this policy is done. You got to give them...
No. The only price stability we're seeing is where they have paused the tariffs. And even then, they're going to go up at least 10% in a bunch of areas.
The president a chance to run it, but over the next 3 months, this policy is going to show trade deal after trade deal, opening markets, reshoring manufacturing, and no tariff charged if you make it in America.
Okay, so let's talk about in the interim, because we've got reports out on
Yeah, that would be the thing. Like in between now and factories being built.
the West Coast, that there are hundreds of dock workers now out of work as those ships are not coming in. The ripple effect there hitting the trucking industry and others as well. One union official out there says it's beginning to manifest itself as real loss of jobs and income from our members. So what do you say to those American workers?
I say those people are going to be so happy with low prices while they're living in a shelter, you know, because your EBT card will go much further.
I say to those American workers, Scott Bessent is in Geneva right now talking to his counterparties in China, right? Remember, this is just a China problem right now, right?
No, it's not. He picked a fight with fucking everybody right now, dummy.
They have 145% tariff. They have 125% tariff. Those tariffs are too high to do business. But that's why they're talking right now. The rest of the world is 10%. So don't overdo it. The rest of the world is 10%.
Yes, everything in the world is 10% more expensive, except stuff from China, which at that point was 125% more expensive. And also now, hooray, they're going to be just 30% more expensive. That doesn't sound like inflation at all.
They're sending their goods here, as the president has said time and time again. We are the consumer of the world. And
not anymore.
Everybody wants to sell their goods here. So
right. So a trade deficit is expected.
They need to do business with America, and we're using the power of our economy to open their economy to our exporters. So that is happening right now. Yes, Scott Bessent is in Geneva talking to his counterparties right now, and let's see what happens. But the president said
Yeah, all you broke motherfuckers, let's see what happens, okay? Just because you lost your job and it isn't coming back anytime soon, that's just a China thing. Shut up.
He was very optimistic and very positive. So you should be very optimistic and positive.
Because Bessent is, and you know how I feel that I'm very optimistic. and we all feel, and I think Ambassador Jimmy Jams over there, they feel very comfortable and confident about Jesus Christ.
The president truthed it out, and I rely on the president.
Okay, well, no surprise to you, I don't think, that the Washington Post is not among your biggest fans. Here's what they say. Lutnick's economically incoherent and contradictory commentary, they say economists agree that tariffs are paid by importers, such as U.S. companies, which in turn pass on most or all of the cost to consumers or producers. Here's how Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer puts it.
President Trump's trade war is economic arson on our main streets, and these folks are getting scorched.
He didn't vote for you. I don't think you guys are probably besties. Is there any room, though, to work with Democrats on some of these issues?
I don't think so. I mean, I remember Chuck Schumer holding a can of Corona when the tariffs came out. I mean, imagine doing that and not holding a can of American-made Coors. I mean, why? Why would you hold up a Mexican can and say, we support Mexican?
Because it's canned here, you dumb motherfucker. That's why. Because there's canning factories here. They ship it in a giant container. They don't bring they don't bottle it and bring it across that way. They bring it over. It's cheaper. It's easier. They bring it in and then they bottle it. So the bottlers and the canning factories that put it in the actual containers are American businesses, you dumb motherfucker.
In production. First,
And besides, how dare he say that it's a Canadian, a Mexican beer.
Corona means Italy.
Right?
America first. How about we support American production first?
Right. And that includes the bottlers that put stuff in the containers over here that are a big part of the industry.
Let's bring production to America. Let's employ Americans. That's sort of a key thing.
So you produce by Grupo Modelo in Mexico. Constellation Brands is the exclusive importer of Corona. So Constellation Brands is who brings Corona in. AB InBev owns it beer globally. The Corona's international expansion started in the U.S., particularly in the South and Southwest. Let's see, Corona Light. Owens, Illinois, a glassmaker partnered with Constellation to expand a glass bottle plant near the Nava Brewery in Mexico. So the Illinois brewmaker, the glassmaker, which I believe is one of my friends in high school, his dad worked for that company, built the brewery that they use, or the bottling facility they use. Ball Corporation has also built a plant in Monterrey, Mexico to produce cans for Constellation's new brewery. Origin history, Corona Beer, okay. So most of them are bottled over there. But the plants are made by American companies, and the brand is owned by an American company.
Let's employ Americans. Let's build an America.
I don't drink beer, so I don't know.
America, no tariffs on American goods. And then if you want to sell to America, okay, you pay a tariff that makes the American goods more competitive. But we know from experience from Trump's first term that the consumers don't pay for the tariffs.
Yes, they do.
They need the products coming in. They need to compete in America. So they've got to cut their price.
Okay, first of all, that was for one particular element, for foodstuffs, which they needed desperately. And the federal government picked up the slack in the trade war between China over food back then anyways. That
to cut their margins, and they've got to compete here. So this concept that just prices go up, you'll buy American goods, and to be competitive, the foreigners will have to cut their price. You saw it with the Asians. They've already announced they're not raising their prices on their cars that are coming in, even though there's a tariff. It proves the point. Don't buy into these economists who are just not in the real world, right? Look at the UK.
Well, there was a pause.
Deal. It is working.
Well, the proof will be in the pudding. American workers and consumers are watching closely. Secretary Lutnick, we wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, and happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. So, again, turned out we saw the deal this morning. Nowhere near what they were promising by any stretch.